Manchester United can't score goals. It's simply a fact. They rank 13th in the Premier League for expected goals, 11th for shots on target, and only 5 teams have scored fewer goals than them in the Premier League this season. Strikers Rasmus, Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee have received their fair share of criticism this season. In fact, 4 defenders and 2 January signings have scored more goals than each of them had managed individually in the league, whereas 38-year-old Jamie Vardy has scored more goals than the pair combined. Whilst it's fair to say they should be doing better with the chances created for them, they don't get many to begin with. The pair rank in the bottom percentiles for touches in the opposition box and shots taken. But what if I told you one of Europe's best creators is a 21-year-old who's available for just £20 million in the summer? Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave, and today we're going to be taking a look at the bargain wonder kid who could solve Manchester United's creative problems. Make sure to like the video, subscribe if you're new, but anyway, let's get this party started. The youngest goal scorer in Lyon's history, Rayan Cherki made his professional debut just 63 days after his 16th birthday. Ever since, the Frenchman has been touted as the latest great export from the famed Lyon academy. And whilst he's been pretty decent so far in his career, this season he has kicked on, with only Lamine Yamal and Florian Wirtz being directly involved in more goals of players 21 and under in Europe's top 5 leagues. Yamal is the second coming of Messi and is priceless to Barcelona, whereas Florian Wirtz is going to be the next €100 million player. So for Cherki to even be in the same bracket means we've got to take a closer look. Rayan Cherki is a trequartista. A versatile player, Cherki has played all across the attacking line for Lyon, but the majority of his minutes have come at number 10 or as a right winger. Regardless of his starting position, Cherki tends to operate from the inside positions, but he has the tactical discipline to also hold the width. Technically fantastic and genuinely two-footed, Cherki is very good at receiving passes, killing it with his first touch, allowing himself to follow up with a dribble, regardless of which foot he's received on. Stylistically, Cherki uses the sole of his boot in a lot of his ball control, stopping it dead or manipulating it with rollovers to make it difficult for players to dispossess him. When his team is in possession, Cherki is often attracted to the ball, which can see him drop into deep areas in build-up. However, he's also very good at roaming laterally in search of space to receive. His composure and playmaking ability combined with his want to stay close to the ball makes him involved in passing moves from start to finish. A very good ball carrier, Cherki has been likened to Eden Hazard and Lionel Messi, although Cherki's use of a lot of soft touches to keep the ball under close control while moving at speed makes him look very similar to the latter. In advanced areas, Cherki is able to make use of his world-class vision and creative passing range, breaking midfield lines with punchy passes, sliding teammates in behind with through balls, or even scooping the ball over defences. So if he were signed, what would Rayan Cherki bring to Manchester United? His best position would be in the inside right position in Amorim's 3-4-3. Gotta think of Cherki as a bit of a 90s player, a throwback to a Totti, Zidane, or even going as far as Diego Maradona. Flair, vision, creativity would be added to United's team. Of course, he could also do it in the inside left position because of his two-footedness, his ability on the dribble, on the carry, would be very suited in that role. Alternatively, if United wanted to pack the midfield and play a false 9 in certain matches, Cherki very much could operate in that role, dropping deep, overloading the opposition's midfield and allowing Manchester United to have an overload in that central area of the pitch, allowing them to control possession and get on the ball and really dictate and create opportunities. Or alternatively, Cherki could be used as a bit of a bench player. When Manchester United are either got a lead and the player on the counter-attack, he could be the perfect player to find that final pass and unlock the door to get the second or third goal, or against those tired legs to unlock the door, bringing him on would add that creative spark into Manchester United's attack. Regardless of where he played, Cherki's creativity and flair would be a massive boost to Manchester United. Cherki loves to operate in the D just outside the opposition's penalty area. This is a position that's super dangerous if you can get possession in there. Manchester United, of course, have slightly changed their system, with Bruno Fernandes operating a lot deeper. From these positions, that would allow Fernandes to play those progressive passes into the feet of someone like Rayan Cherki, where he can use his outrageous ability to find defence-splitting passes. That, of course, could be to Rasmus Højlund in behind the defence, moving off the ball in between the oppositions, right-sided centre-back and right-back. In fact, Cherki did this against Steaua Bucharest in this season's Europa League, a brilliant scoop pass that we're going to take a quick look at. So we pick up the play with Lyon attacking down their left wing. Cherki is highlighted. He's going to move into that super dangerous position. You don't want creative passes in this central area outside your penalty box. Zone 14 as it's known. In terms of this situation, what I like about Cherki is not only that movement to get into those areas, but the first touch is excellent. We mentioned before, he's a bit of a futsal player. He loves receiving the ball and using his soul to take the control. This allows him to have an extra second in possession to get his head up and then dink the ball over the top in a Ronaldinho-esque scoop pass for the centre forward. That invention in the final third is currently missing from Man United's attack. Not only does Cherki have that passing range, but he's got clever flicks and dinks to get the ball round the opposition for his teammates, including little flick passes in behind the defence for runners, but also using his ability on the ball to create something out of nothing. Let's take a look at this example against Marseille. Sometimes simple football unlocks the door. Cherki's in a slightly wider position, Nemanja Matic carrying through midfield. As he receives wide, one thing is in his mind, that is to cut inside. He does this from both flanks. Being so two-footed gives him that option. What I like about this, though, is it's quite calm. As he drives inside, not only does he force the wing-back back, but he draws in the centre-back. This allows him that little bit of space to find a lovely dink pass over the top of the defence for Tolisso to run inside and finish across the goalkeeper. But now let's take a look at the outrageous. Cherki once again in the inside right channel, scanning his shoulder to see where his teammate is, but also where the opposition is. Now, an outrageous flick from his right foot to his left, back to his right, back through the midfield of Steaua Bucharest to find his teammate to have a cracking chance on goal. That creativity outside the box is missing at Manchester United. And finally, from the inside left position, Cherki's got the composure, but also the vision and the passing to find simple passes on his left foot in behind the opposition's defence to allow again for teammates to have very good chances on goal. Let's take a look at this example against PSG. Cherki receiving to the left-hand side of the pitch this time, but again in and around the D. Zone 14 is where Cherki is super dangerous. With that ability and close control, drawing players in is something that becomes natural to him. He's very good in and around the penalty area. PSG crowd the ball. The other Lyon player pulls away Pachau, which opens up a really good lane for him to find a pass inside the box to his teammate to provide a really good assist for the dink finish against PSG. Cherki can create on the left-hand side, the right-hand side, and is super dangerous in and around the D. He's a player that you just don't want to give time and space on the ball. But even if you do press him, as we saw here, he's got the ability to wait for the perfect moment to find the pass. So let's take a look at those creative numbers. Rayan Cherki has 18 assists in all competitions for Lyon this season. Only Lamine Yamal, Rafinha and Mohamed Salah have more assists in Europe's top 5 leagues in all competitions. But if we take that further and we'll look at assists per 90, he's 4th, but he is top in Europe this season for expected assists, showcasing his creative genius that's on display this year. So let's move on to dribbling, because for me, Cherki really solves a problem with Amran's United. When Amad Diallo was flying and playing in the inside right position, he'd receive, he'd dribble, he'd carry it, yeah. This is something that was key in Sporting Lisbon, with Trincão being that player, a converted winger that was fantastic in between the lines, receiving the ball and then dribbling straight at the opposition. Rayan Cherki has that. He's got the technical quality, He's got the ability to go both ways in tight spaces, but also him being two-footed makes him a weapon on the dribble. When Cherki receives, we mentioned, he uses the sole of his foot to control the football, which not only means the ball's quite close to him, which allows him to go left, to go right, to take touches, to turn back on himself, but it also allows him to attack straight away. From these positions, he tends to cut inside. He likes to drive directly at the opposition's central area, and then look for a number of passing options, that being maybe a through ball to the striker, maybe be that pass to the left attacking midfielder, or linking with the wing back on the overlap. All these passes Cherki's got, but his danger comes because of that tight control. If you beat someone in these central areas, there's an opportunity to create a really good chance, and that's something Cherki has done time and time again in this season's Europa League. So first up, this assist against Steaua Bucharest. Once again, Cherki is in the inside right channel. What I like about this is not only his ability to create space for his teammates, but he makes the right decision. Once again, receiving on the sole of his foot, instantly moving the ball forward so he can attack the defence. He's going to attack the opposition wide, but because of his close control, his ability on the carry, Steaua Bucharest can't get the ball off him. And you see at this point, he's drawn in 3 players to him. But he's got that vision to spot the pass. Some players from these situations will just take shots at goal, but Cherki plays a super simple square pass for the centre forward to take one touch and put it into the bottom corner. But his ability on the carry really changes the dynamic. That's a simple assist of driving wide and then playing the pass at the right time, but of course he's got the quality in the penalty area. This time receiving against Rangers, similar inside position, great first touch. Similar thing, sole of the foot. We're seeing a lot of trends with Cherki's ability to receive here, but this is great. First up, driving on the inside, step over, shifting it on the inside, feinting to shot, Cruyffing back on the outside, exploding with the right foot and finding Fofana on the back post to slide home. That assist is brilliant. The fake inside, the explosion back on the outside, and the low cross to the back post is simply perfect. Due to his technical quality and the ability to receive the ball on the move, Cherki is really good at finding little 1-2s in and around the box. Thinking about Manchester United, that could be finding the centre forward, then simply running off to receive once again in those dangerous areas, where again, that creative passing could come in to find teammates in behind the defence to finish once again across the goalkeeper. So let's take a look at this example against Rangers. Cherki picking up the ball on the right wing, checking inside to drive directly the opposition's defence, then finding a little 1-2 on the edge of the box. Not only that, but he's got the ability to receive on the move. This little touch around the defender's brilliant to get a little bit of space. Then he finds his teammate in acres of space to fire the ball across the goalkeeper, something that he could add to Man United's attack. Now let's move on to the negatives, that being his defensive work rate. Cherki's role as a trequartista, it kind of means defensively sometimes he switches off. He's a player that's so good in possession that phase of the game he needs to work on. At times he's really aggressive, especially at the start of games when it comes to his pressing, but as the game goes on, kind of drops off a little bit. Sometimes in counter pressure, he's not really involved for Lyon. This is where Ruben Amorim's coaching is going to be really important to make him a rounded player. When you look at the base statistics, he's won 11 of his 14 tackles in Ligue 1 this season. He's quite good when in those challenge situations. But you're looking at the number that's around 0.8 per 90, which is really, really small. On top of that, when you're looking when he's dealing with players that are carrying at him or his tackles versus dribblers, he's winning around 20%. So that's definitely an area of his game that he needs to improve. But with someone like Mason Mount in the team, that's basically a Duracell bunny off the ball, super aggressive, super in terms of his pressure, maybe he could help Cherki in terms of that defensive side of his game and kind of deal with the flaws of the Frenchman. And finally, probably the biggest thing for Manchester United now, Cherki would improve the build-up. His ability to roam and get involved in possession is a massive part of his game. And for Manchester United, there's probably only one player that is truly involved in all thirds of the pitch in a possession perspective. That is Bruno Fernandes. United need more players that are comfortable in possession. Cherki is definitely that. Expect him and Bruno Fernandes if they were playing together to put some really good moves together, roaming around, playing off each other and getting from the defensive third into the attacking third. In terms of the United shape and structure, of course, having a super wide right wing back, which could obviously pull the opposition over to that area, would allow Cherki to drop deep and get on the ball in these deeper areas. From these positions, he's a good combination player. He knows when to release it forward, he knows when to drop it back, he knows when to move. But him starting the attacks and getting on the ball deep and then playing, let's say, to Bruno Fernandes, means that often he will arrive into the final third unmarked, and we all know what he can do from those areas. So having that ability to roam, but also attack, is perfect for Manchester United. There's another ball player that's super comfortable in possession that will allow United to play through pressure. So let's take a look at this example against Strasbourg. Rayan Cherki has dropped deep to get on the ball. He's attracted to the ball in these types of areas because he's got that passing range. He's a player that likes that punchy pass up. We can see right now the first touch draws in the Strasbourg player, which creates space for Tolisso. But he's got that ability to shift it quickly and find a really punchy pass to break the lines, progressing the play for Lyon. But he's not stopped there. He's a player that likes to get attracted to possession. He wants the ball into feet. He's so crucial in all thirds. And we see it here as Lyon build down their right-hand side. Cherki makes that move once again to get on the ball because he's got the ability to find these types of passes. Once again, punching it forward, this time creating a chance for his teammate to cut in and shoot. So what's the catch? Why is a player with attacking returns that should be worth 100 million moving for so little? Well, first and foremost, Lyon are in financial trouble and need cash now. Cherki's contract also expires in 2026. But the main catch is Cherki is a player with heavily reported attitude problems. There's a reason why he's had such limited minutes since bursting onto the scene at 16. And Manchester United have worked really hard to get rid of the bad apples in their squad. So signing a player with red flags in attitude and maybe temperament isn't the right way to go and is a bad move for Amarin's side. However, Man United are 13th in the Premier League. They are simply not in the position to get elite level talents with perfect attitudes. Those players are simply going to be moving to the Real Madrids or the Bayern Munichs of the world, the European elite clubs. But it's not that Man United's lower league position means that they shouldn't be signing more players. The squad lacks real quality in the forward department and depth, two areas that Rayan Cherki could improve. And to give him the benefit of the doubt, Cherki's latest attitude problems have actually coincided with him not signing a contract at his club Lyon. And when researching these issues, other than Cherki complaining to teammates when moves break down, there are very few tangible sources of Cherki's attitude problems. Also, Lyon majority owner John Textor and public critic of Cherki is a bit of a loose cannon, with leaked WhatsApp messages calling Cherki a little asshole. This leaked conversation took place when Borussia Dortmund were trying to sign Cherki, with Textor reportedly telling Dortmund to off. That being said, I don't know Cherki or anyone in his camp, so I can't comment on his personality. Regardless, a lower transfer fee helps. Man United signed Jadon Sancho for £80 million, with the idea that he turned United into a title-winning side. At 20 million, Cherki won't be coming in with that expectation. A new challenge in a new country with a really good head coach could get the best out of him. Should Rayan Cherki be at the top of Manchester United's summer transfer list? No. Cherki is not yet the finished player, and there's question marks over that attitude. But he's an extreme talent that plays in a position that he's strengthening over the summer, all whilst putting in very impressive numbers. Oh, and he's available for half what Manchester United paid for Donny van der Beek, a third of what United paid for Mason Mount, and just a quarter of Real Betis' greatest ever player, Anthony. Providing he's not a complete wrong-un, signing Rayan Cherki would be a great move for Manchester United. Statistically, his numbers match up to one of Neymar's best seasons for PSG in Ligue 1. A creative genius that could unlock the door for Manchester United. But anyway, guys, what do you think? Should Manchester United buy Rayan Cherki in the summer for just £20 million? Get in the comments below. I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new. We'll see you later. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel.